Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is GRE Bytes. My name is Davis. I'm an educator with over 10 years of experience.
And I'm Orion, the founder of StellarGRE.
We're here to bring you your weekly bite-sized episode on GRE prep and grad school admissions. Check out our top-rated GRE self-study program at StellarGRE.com. Use the code BYTES for 10% off all memberships. All right, so let's just jump right in. I've heard you say before, baseball is a game of inches, they say, but the GRE is a game of seconds. What do you mean? What is that?
Well, I don't know if anyone says that, but I say that. So they say?
What, the baseball about a game of inches?
Oh, they absolutely say that,
yeah,
yes.
People, that's what you've said. I've heard you say, people say that baseball is a game of inches, and then you personally say,
yes.
in a similar manner, the GRE is a game of seconds. What do you mean?
That makes sense to me because I don't think I've heard anybody else say that. But I think it is true with respect to the GRE, because what makes it a big difference in, let's say, baseball is being able to get to the base a fraction of a second earlier than the ball, to be able to extend through the swing, a fraction of an inch further, to make the ball travel just a little bit faster. That's what actually separates the folks who are in the majors from the folks who are in the AAA minor leagues, who are often extremely talented themselves. The person who's in the majors may be batting 250. The person in the minor might be batting 248. So the difference between good and great performance in the sport of baseball comes down to increasingly minute improvements in performance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I'm not a baseball aficionado by any stretch of the imagination. I don't even know what batting 250 means.
Oh, no.
But I understand that differentiation between, minors and majors. Yeah.
Okay, good. Hopefully I didn't alienate my my listener base with my nerdiness. So with respect to the GRE, I say that it's a game of seconds because the most difficult aspect of this test is the time limit. And being able to shave 5-10 seconds off of your standard approach to a problem can be the difference between a good score and a truly great score. And this is why in the Stellar system, we work on how to approach problems more than the factual information that you need to solve them. Obviously, that's provided. Obviously, that is necessary. But top performance in the GRE is really a process. It's an approach it's a how, as opposed to a what, just knowing the appropriate formulas or vocabulary words.
Right. In other words, you've seen and I've seen really intelligent students with an incredible breadth and depth of a knowledge base, but put them in a timed situation or put them in a dynamic test like the GRE, and given all the knowledge in the world, if they don't know how to perform under that time constraint, they won't achieve the target score. And I'm picking up on the metaphor here. For example, like you've got the baseball diamond, and the difference between someone running around the diamond and getting a double or a home run, double or triple or whatever, making it home, they could be, just an inch or two away from that base by the time the ball gets there. And that's the difference. Same with hitting a home run, a couple of inches is the difference between the outfielder catching it as a, pop fly and being out versus a home run and hitting it out of the park. So that makes sense. And with the GRE, I'm taking your meaning to mean that without an awareness of the time aspect, even if you hit every single time, even if you're in the minor leagues and you're hitting whatever the super high batting average is, if you're always hitting it 6 inches shy of out of the park and you can't beat that, then you're going to get out a lot of times.
That's exactly right, man. That's it. Maybe you do like baseball. This is cool. We should go to a game sometime. That'll be fun. That's correct. So that's why in the Stellar system, we have a very specific second-by-second approach to problems. And I don't think this exists in any other test prep system. Let's break it down. For example, on a quantitative question, that first second upon encountering a problem, we decide whether we're going to do it right then and there or we're going to skip it. It only takes 1 second to figure that out because that decision is based on immediately recognizable visual criteria. If we decide to do a problem, in that second, we look at the answer choices and we examine them for their structure diagnosis. This means we try to understand whether it's real numbers or variables, and it's a choose one or a choose many situation. That creates 4 different combinations of structure diagnoses. Real numbers choose one, real numbers choose many, variables choose one, and variables choose many. And this should take about 2 seconds to figure out because, again, it's based on more or less immediately recognizable visual criteria. And then we can then associate that to a generalizable strategy associated with one of those 4 structure diagnoses. All of that should take 3 seconds. Now we're 4 seconds into the problem. Second 5, we're going to take a soft scan at the content, the body of the actual question. We don't want to go in with a laser beam focus already because sometimes that means that we'll miss the forest for the trees, as it were. So we take a soft scan and see what jumps out at us. We're looking for geometric figures. That's a real obvious one. Do you see triangles or circles? There you go. That's the type of problem you're dealing with. Do you see any kind of strange mathematical notation like f of x or exponents? So those are immediately recognizable things. Or are there words or phrases that are consistently associated with certain diagnostic categories like the word probability or the word ratio or the words arithmetic mean? So once you understand that there's only 50 different types of quantitative problems and you understand the diagnostic signs associated with each of them, you'll be scanning for those things and they'll pop out at you because you can kind of know what you're looking for.
And so rather than taking this diagnosis capability and filtering immediately towards a knowledge base of I know how to do that, this is how you do it, in this first pass, because it's a game of seconds and not a game of knowledge, you're able to, like you said, it's a process. You're able to identify what problems to do first, to organize your time in a way that you're going to maximize the highest score possible in the minimum amount of time, leaving extra time for the ones that might be a little trickier. I mean, the way you're talking about now, it makes it and I'm thinking about baseball more, and I knew more about it in childhood, but it's making sense. It's like, yeah, you take that guy who could, hit it, all the time. He could hit it every anything you threw at him, he could hit it, but he just couldn't hit it out of the park. You just always hit it, midfield or something. Yeah, you take that guy, that's like your guy who could answer every problem on the GRE. He just can't answer it within a time limit. You give him time and he could do it. So basically, it's interesting because like in baseball, you could turn to steroids to pump up your muscles so you can hit it farther. Uh-huh. And in the GRE, but that's illegal. In the GRE, you could gamify the test to a point where you take the time limits and you make that the first filter of your focus. That's not illegal, but it gives you the same
Stellar
result.
is entirely legal. Stellar is the performance enhancing drug for GRE test takers, and it's legal in all 50 states.
So the bottom line is shift your focus on the GRE. Your first filter going through the test is one where you understand the rules of the game, namely the time limit, and you're focused on the different strategies that StellarGRE can teach you about how to best navigate those time limits in order to get through everything and get your highest score. If your focus first is on that game of seconds rather than on a game of knowledge, you have the tools to do much better.
That's right, because if you can begin rehearsing that process earlier on in your prep, you're going to reinforce it to a greater extent. It's going to be more familiar. You'll have greater confidence. It'll be more accurate. So the benefits will redound to you earlier and more significantly. And there's many different ways that we approach this game of seconds in the Stellar system. We've talked in previous episodes about offensive skipping, defensive skipping. We've talked about time bleeds, which absolutely have no place in your process. We've talked about continuous solving. So all of these are respecting the time limit, which is by far the most challenging aspect of this test and which most programs woefully ignore.
That's awesome. So again, you've heard it here first. StellarGRE, the steroids of the GRE test prep. All right, thanks everybody. That's all we have time for today. We'll be back next week for another bite-sized episode of GRE Bites. If you have a topic you'd like to discuss on a future episode, let us know. StellarGRE@gmail.com. And whenever you're ready to take your prep to the next level, please check out our top-rated GRE self-study program at StellarGRE.com. You can use the code BITES if you want for 10% off all memberships. Talk to you soon.